So now we want to write a specific equation in vertex form given a graph. So let's start out by just writing out what vertex form is. The more you write it out, the more you will remember it. So y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So let's identify the vertex using the graph. So I can see that the vertex is 1, negative 4. And now I can go ahead and put that into my equation. So y equals a times x minus 1 squared, and then minus 4. So all I've done right now is input h and k, but I still don't know what a is. I have some hints, right? I can look at the graph and I can see, okay, I know a is going to be positive, but I want to solve for the specific number that a is. And so the way that I want to do that is by using another point on the graph. I can use this point of 3, negative 2, and I can substitute that for x and y to solve for a. So I know that 1 and negative 4 are part of my equation, but I still have to figure out what a is. So let's substitute 3 and negative 2 in for x and y. So that would be 3 minus 1, I'm leaving that h in there, and then minus 4. And now let's just go through and solve for a. So negative 2 equals a. Let's see, 3 minus 1 is 2. That's squared minus 4. Be careful here. Go ahead and add that 4 to the other side so that you don't get confused, right? So we have 2 times, let's see, 2 squared is 4, so that's 4a. So when I divide both sides by 4, I get 1/2 equals a. And so now that I have that, I can write my final equation. And it does say to write it as a function, so we can use function notation here. So our final equation will be f of x equals 1/2, that's our a, times x minus 1 squared minus 4. And this right here represents our final answer. So let's try another one. So let's see, let's start out by writing out y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And let's identify our vertex. So our vertex is 1, 2, 3, negative 3, 8. And let's go ahead and substitute that in. So y equals a times x, that would be plus 3, right? And then plus 8, because the sign of the h is going to be different, or the opposite. And now we want to figure out what a is by using another ordered pair. So let's find an ordered pair in our graph. It looks like negative 1, 0 is an ordered pair. But I could have used any of these, anywhere where it kind of goes through like a corner, and I can easily identify that ordered pair. So like negative 2, 6, negative 3, 6, negative 4, 6, sorry, or negative 5, 0. Any of those would have worked, and you should still get the same value for a. So we're going to put 0 in for y, and we're going to put negative 1 in for x. And now we're going to solve. I'm going to go ahead and subtract that 8 to the other side. So I get negative 8 equals a times, let's see, negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So that's negative 8 equals 4a. And we get negative 2 equals a. Now, were we expecting a negative a? Yes, we were, because we see that this parabola opens down. So my final answer here would be negative 2 times x plus 3 squared, I got to keep that vertex in there, plus 8. So here's one that I want you guys to try on your own. I want you to pause the video, work it out, draw whatever you need to. You can plot the vertex and plot the point and see what it looks like, and then check your work. Remember that copying my work doesn't help you learn, so try it on your own and then see how you did. Pause the video now. Okay, so I'm going to use the pointer to explain my work. So I started out by putting the vertex in, that's in blue right here, 4, 1. And then I wanted to solve for a, so I used this other point, 6, 9, and I put that in for x and y, and I solved for a, and I got that a was 2, and then I wrote my final answer right there. So this problem asks us to write the equation of the quadratic function that has x-intercepts at 3 and -1 and has a minimum value of -8. So we have to do a little bit more thinking in order to figure out what the vertex is. So let's go ahead and put our x-intercepts on our graph. So we have x-intercepts at 3 and -1. And we know that our minimum value occurs at -8, but let's not figure that out quite yet. Let's start by finding our axis of symmetry. So we know that our axis of symmetry has to split our parabola in half. So if I have these x-intercepts at 3 and -1, I know my axis of symmetry has to be right in between those, or right here. And now I know that my axis of symmetry goes through my vertex, so my vertex has to be somewhere along here. I also know that my minimum value occurs at the vertex. So a minimum value means my parabola must be opening up, and if it occurs at -8, then I know it has to happen right there. And there we go. Now I found that my vertex is 1, -8. So again, I knew that my axis of symmetry was between those two purple points because I know that it has to split my parabola in half. So now we can use the same process we've been using before. We can write down y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. We can input our vertex, so y equals a times x minus 1 squared minus 8. And now we can use one of the points on our parabola to find a. I have two different points to choose from. I have the point 3, 0 and the point -1, 0. You can choose whichever one you want. Let's choose 3, 0. So 0 equals a times 3 minus 1 squared minus 8. And then let's see, we'll add 8. We'll do 3 minus 1 is 2, so that's 2 squared. So that means 8 equals 4a, or a equals 2. And then we can write our final answer. So f of x equals 2 times x minus 1 squared minus 8. And there we go. So why don't I let you guys try 5 on your own. So again, pause the video and try it and do all of the work and then unpause and see how you compared to what I did. So just to be sure you're on the right track, I plotted my x-intercepts. I found my axis of symmetry in between those x-intercepts, halfway in between, and then I knew a maximum value of 9 meant that I had a parabola that was opening down, and I know that has to occur somewhere on my axis of symmetry, so I found my vertex was -1, 9. So if you didn't get that part, go ahead and fix anything you did, and then pause the video again and write the equation of the parabola. Alright, so there's my answer. F of x equals -1 times x plus 1 squared plus 9. So number 6 says that you have a vertex at -1, 7, and you have a y-intercept of 4. So let's plot what we have. So we have a vertex at -1, 7, and a y-intercept of 4. So we know that much right there, right? So let's go ahead and put in what we know in our vertex form, so x minus h squared plus k. So I can substitute for h and k already, right? X plus 1 squared and then plus 7. But I still need another point in order to solve for a. Well, if my y-intercept is 4, I do know another point on my graph, and I know that that point is 0, 4. So I can substitute that in for x and y, and I should be able to solve for a just like I've been doing. So go ahead and solve for a, pause the video, and check your work when you're done. So I got that a was equal to -3, and then I can write my final answer as f of x equals -3 times x plus 1 squared plus 7. And there we go.